Good morning. Welcome to episode 76, 3,777 days until I'm 40. Today we're talking about exit plan. I want to approach this from multiple angles actually as a founder, as when you're investing in something, and more generally as well, I think. Well, it's really mostly in those topics, but the experience of an exit plan. So, being a first time founder before, which I'm no longer, I never truly understood this question. Like, investors would ask, what's your exit plan? Like, how are we going to monetize? When do you plan to sell? And I never got it. I would always just be like, but we don't plan to sell. or, um, well, we got to go through Series A, B, C, and then hopefully IPO, or we will seek acquisition at some point. There was no clear path of what that result is, or what we're working towards in that terms, right? It was clear about what we wanted to explore, what we wanted to do, even what our go-to-market was. But like the exit plan was something I never prioritized or thought about. Coming around to being a second-time founder, or doing this over again, and just doing this over again in the planning stage, super early on, literally right now, I am already thinking about the exit plan. Um, it's such a scramble trying to figure out an exit when things go well or don't go well for your business, that having at least one clear path, it might not work out exactly the way you want it to, but having a path to an exit is absolutely critical, both for your own focus and commitment, as well as getting investors on board so that they can actually see and participate and push you towards that as well. So just for perspective, like for anyone, and it doesn't have to be for the whole business, right? You don't have to plan for all the way till IPO, but very specifically, I'd say like for anyone investing right now, um, I need to get I need to get them to like a Series A. And in the fintech world, Bitcoin or otherwise, what does a Series A funding mean? It's a Series A funding is when a larger venture capital firm will come in, buy up a chunk of your equity, buy out existing investors, and then guide you to towards the next series and eventually IPO. And you'll have to kind of have this conversation at every stage again. But basically, for investors investing now pre-seed or seed, they're expecting a way to exit in the future. And right now, you can choose a path of IPO, you can choose a path of tokenization, you can choose a path of Series A. But to me, all of them basically mean that we need to be hitting $1 million in annual recurring revenue. Even if you tokenize, like I think in the Bitcoin crypto space, tokenization is expected because it's just easier, faster, and liquidity is there, and you can more closely follow along like the business's growth or demise. And still, for a founder to really take advantage of that, and I think really create that future and not just make it a pump and dump, I feel it's important to think of it like not think of the tokenization as a Series A, but think of the future of what's after the tokenization in terms of like a Series A acquisition. Because from that tokenization, I still believe you want to get a Series A style acquisition so that like now you're entering a more serious market where you kind of start preparing your financials towards, um, you know, moving up the capital market or up the capital stack. So specifically, the goal in my mind is how do I set myself up to give us the best advantage so we can get to 1 million in annual recurring revenue? Because that's basically the Series A number. Anything less than 1 million doesn't make sense. Like people are going to discount it. People are going to like it's below what they call US mid market, right? If you're not generating at least $1 million in annual recurring revenue, it's not mature enough, and and it's honestly too much work. Like everyone has like brokers or people that work for them, like people with a lot of money especially will have people work for them and they need to pay them commissions. So it's very interesting to like just observe that whole stack and be like, okay, I need to make sure that from now to $1 million in annual recurring revenue, how do I do that? What are the metrics that need to be hit really at that point? Who do I need to be talking to? What investors do I need to be uh, raising from now and also in the future? And who might be the competitors at that stage that may also acquire me? I never really thought I would be saying this, but yeah, it's actually absolutely critically important. Every business must have an exit plan. And as you develop, and you may never need to use it or never need that exit plan, but having that exit plan allows for a disciplined approach that gives you the opportunity to not have one, actually. I don't know if there's other founders in the room, if they have different thoughts or on this topic. Love to hear and listen from others that have done this, but an exit plan is actually a really high priority for me now to create that from the beginning. Now I'll pivot this conversation over to like just Bitcoiners and Bitcoin culture and the conversation around Bitcoin these days, right? Uh, it's like, oh, the strategic reserve's not taken up, or like the city council's Bitcoin reserve hasn't been approved, and you know tariffs and all that. There's a lot of back and forth. I think there was a lot more expectation for some reason from uh, national or state entities to acquire Bitcoin, but and I think that possibility and opportunity is still obviously there, but it's like let's take a step further and ask why would they be interested in the first place. You can't just say, oh, number go up. And that's something I got from BitBlock Boom actually from the conference recently in Texas. Like there's a lot of reliance on number go up. Number doesn't just magically go up, guys. Yes, scarcity of supply, but if you keep thinking of Bitcoin as like gold where you're just going to put it away and not use it, you're going to earn like a regular income or salary and that's it. um it's never going to go anywhere. It's only going to it's yeah, at best it's going to be matching gold and take the time that it takes to get there. um no, why do people settle in non-US dollars, right? Like when you're doing international trade, two nations, they're like, oh, we'll settle in Indian rupee, or we'll settle in Russian ruble, or Chinese yuan. um it's when these nations become major trading partners with each other, when they have major business happening between each other. Like if you do a lot of business, like even just as a business, if you do a lot of business with a certain company, instead of sending cash back and forth all the time, you're going to just start opening books of accounts and just managing the balances between each of them, settling them eventually. So that's the same exact case with Bitcoin. If Bitcoiners aren't like utilizing, or um, yeah, like honestly, they need to be leveraging their Bitcoin. You need to be using your Bitcoin for making bets and investments that might make you more Bitcoin. Sure, don't just consume it, right? Like, what's the point of consuming Bitcoin? None. And that's part of the beauty of it and the time preference of it. It's better for you to consume fiat. But when it comes to investments and participating in, you know, risk reward scenarios, Bitcoin should be at the forefront. And should is a word of ideal, a word of like what could be, but there's a real incentive, like when you invest in Bitcoin, to really participate. Like even if it's not like at an equity level, you will have put up equity into such a business that you really care about the return in Bitcoin. um Early Riders is like a VC firm that's focused on something like this. I'd love to see more of that. And you know what? Next time I actually want to take this exit conversation into even personal investing. I don't have enough time for it today, but yeah, maybe next time. Personal investing and like acquiring real estate. How I'm not, again, not financial advice, I'm not a CFA by any means, but I'd love to share how I think about like making decisions like that, or how my thinking has been evolving to that realm, starting exit backwards and then dealing with everything that's in between. Thanks for listening.